This is the LGS podcast, chatting all things skateboarding with Jason Emery from Let's Go Skate. All right, everyone, here we go. This is the LGS podcast. I'm super excited to start here today with El. This is the first episode. I'm a little anxious, but I think I'm going to be okay. So say hello, El.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well on this Tuesday evening.
Yes, it is Tuesday evening, nearly 8 o'clock on, 22nd of February. All the twos today, did you know that? 2022. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it online.
But yeah, so El is here today. So I have categorised him loosely as a middle-aged beginner. So we will get into all of his history and stuff, because he did do a little bit as a kid, I believe. But I'm hoping anyone listening to this today, it might motivate you to start skateboarding yourself, because El is a great example of someone that got back into it recently and is really enjoying it. I've even seen his skateboard up against his wall while we were just chatting before we got ready. So, El, I'm just, first thing I kind of want to ask you is, what age were you when you very first started? Because you used to do a little bit when you were younger. I've seen that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle board.
Yeah, that was my first board that I ever got for my birthday, 7th birthday. 7 years old. And it was purely just standing on the board, cruising up and down, and that's it, mongo style.
You're a mongo.
Yeah.
So you was able to like push and ride around, but like that was it. You never went to any skate parks or anything like that?
Well, I didn't even know that you could do tricks on skateboards. Like,
I
wasn't ever bought into that like environment. I just got a skateboard for my birthday. So
cool.
For me, all I ever knew was that you stood on the skateboard and you cruised down the street a little bit.
No, that's fine. I
suppose it's all I knew about skateboarding back then when I was 7 was just watching The Simpsons and Bart Simpson.
Yeah,
cruising up and down.
I used to see Bart quite a bit as well. So you didn't really do too much. And then if we fast forward into more recent times, because you just pretty much wasn't on a skateboard then until, was it last year when you got back into it? Was it last year?
Well,
or was it
when I was 7
as a teenager? Did you do anything like that? Or was it
a
big gap?
As a teenager. And it sort of stemmed from having that board as a 7-year-old. I can't remember. I'll tell you what, my mum told me the other day. She said, she said, do you remember when your skateboard got run over by a car? That was the end of it. That's what happened. That was the end of my skateboarding career. My board got run over by a car and it never got replaced.
Is that when you in the teenage years then? Or was that when you were 7?
That was probably like a year or so after I got the board. It got run over and it completely like squished the wheel and snapped the truck.
Okay. I was just going to say, so just roughly, like, you did it a little bit as a teenager, but not too much. I'm just a little bit more curious about that.
Yeah, sure. So when I got into like secondary school, a few of my friends were skateboarding, and I still had the interest from when I was 7, when I first had my board. So it did pique my interest when I saw them. But then when I stood back on a board and I was getting told to just slam the front trucks down as hard as you can and you'll be fine. When I got up on the coping, I was just like, whoa, if I fall over, my mum and dad are going to clip me round the ear when I get home. So here's your board back. And that was the end of it. That was the end of it.
You never mastered the drop-in as a teenager?
Never mastered the drop-in. Nope.
Okay, so I want to know why you got back into it. So that was before you met me. So I think it was last year, wasn't it? Like, what are the reasons? Like, why were you inspired last year to get back into it?
Wow. And you know what? It's probably last year to the day.
Really?
It's probably the 1-year anniversary this weekend, if I'm right in thinking. Okay, so yeah, what inspired it was when I've got a little boy, and my goal over the lockdown was to get him riding his bike. A friend of mine said that, have you ever tried the technique where you don't use stabilizers? You do it in 3 steps. Step 1, balance bike. When they're comfortable on the balance bike going on a flat, you move them on to rolling down slopes. So I think to myself, okay, where are there some slopes? Skateboard ramps. So we go up to the skateboard ramps over in St Ives, because that's our local one, hill rise. And Rocco's getting on great. It's my son's called Rocco. He's getting on great going down the slopes. It's
How old is Rocco?
He's 5.5.
Yeah.
So if you can remember, fast forward 1 year ago in February, it was extremely chilly. And all that's going through my mind is, I love that he's getting on well with his bike up the ramps, but I am freezing my off, right?
Yeah.
And then that's when I saw a young lad. He must have been no older than about 7, 8 years old. And he was dropping in on ramps, having a great time, like laughing and joking and full of confidence. And I suppose I just sort of started thinking about when I was back that age and wishing that I could be at that standard. And I just sort of said to myself, look, just ask him if he'd give you a hand and if you can have a go on his board. So I did. I went up to him and I said, like, that's really cool what you're doing. I used to do a little bit of skating when I was about your age. Do you mind showing me how to do a few tricks? And I was hooked.
Yeah. So basically, like, what I'm hearing there is you were a dad at the skate park there with your son, who, well, I mean, I see this happen all the time where parents take their kids out to the skate park with Rocco. And then your curiosity for skateboarding came back because you saw someone else there on a skateboard. And it was cool that you had the confidence to speak to him and give it a go. And then, where did it go from there then? So you had to go on his skateboard. I'm sure, you enjoyed that. What was the next steps?
Well,
like buying a skateboard? Like, what did you do? Like, how soon since you got one again yourself? Or
well, yeah, I was absolutely stoked that day. I was absolutely stoked. I was so excited. This little kid had got me dropping in on a little 2 foot court like.
You even did drop in that day. Yeah, on his board. You dropped in that day. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got it on video.
Is it on that video? Bit that we 50-50 together that time? That little bit.
Yeah, on the corner. On the corner
bit, because that's kind of awkward, because I have tried to teach someone to drop in there before. It's for people watching. It is a quarter pipe, but it's also a bit of a flat bank. It's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah.
That's good that you did that. So you were hyped that day because you dropped in for the first time.
I was so hyped because that's all I ever wanted to do going through secondary school. I used to see all the lads in secondary school dropping on the mini and have a great time. But I never had the confidence. So God, that day, when I did it, it was great. And I had 50 quid in my back pocket, would you believe? And I nearly went up to him and said, look, listen, mate, give me your board and I'll give you 50 quid for it. And it probably wasn't even worth a tenner. It was chipped to the high heavens.
Yeah.
God, the trucks were probably in a state. I know the trucks were pretty tight, but look, the grip tape would just look like it was like a muddy field. But I thought, no, you can't do that. You don't need him coming back up the ramps with his mum and dad.
Yeah,
getting told off for taking advantage of their son and buying his skateboard off him. So, but look, I'm very much like that. If I can do something on something, I get attached to it and I trust it. I put my trust in it. So it was I wanted that skateboard because I knew that it let me drop in for the first time. It didn't matter that it wasn't worth 50 quid. But anyway, I said, no, I can't do that.
I'm going to tell a side story quick. I learned to skateboard when I was about 12 on a Pikachu Pokemon board. Lost it. And then one day I was teaching last year and one of the kids walks up to the lesson with a replica of that exact skateboard. The Pikachu, I mean, it's a terrible skateboard, but for nostalgia purposes, I offered them a fairly good condition enough board as a swap. So it's up now in the loft. I've got the equivalent of the very first skateboard I learned kickflips on. So I need to tell that story better sometime. But yeah, it's, I get what you mean. You wanted that skateboard, but but how did you then? How long till you got a proper board? You straight away? Were you keen? Like, you waited a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty much like, because in my mind it was like, my God, you've dropped in. If you don't go back in the next few days and do it again, you don't want to like lose it. So I googled, I just googled buy skateboard, and SkateHut came up.
Yeah,
The website
SkateHut,
SkateHut.
massive. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I phoned them up. They were really helpful, and I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. I said, like, look, at the time I was 36. I said, look, I'm 36 years old. I'm interested in, I want to learn how to skateboard. I don't have a clue about skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you, I just haven't got a clue. Can you please send me a skateboard? And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I would like to do a little bit of street and a little bit of just ramp skating. So he's like, okay, cool. And then he sent me this, I think it was like 8-inch, I've still got it, 8-inch boards. I think the wheels are like 53 mil. Blue, did I just say Blueprint was the brand?
You haven't said that bit yet, no, but Blueprint is a UK brand, yeah.
Yeah. And design-wise, he let me have a couple of options of different design. And I said to Rocco, I said, like, look, he's saying we can have this one or this one. Which one do you want? And he said, hey, the heart, daddy, the heart. So I said, yeah, that's fine.
So, was this all over the phone, or did it move on to email or messaging? How was he communicating with you?
It was all over the phone. And then I had the website up in front of me.
Oh, so I mean, that's quite good of SkateHut that they did have a customer service rep that was there on hand, actually guiding you through the process of getting your first skateboard.
Yeah, they were brilliant, man. Like, I could not fault them one bit. That's
really good to hear.
Yeah, I was super happy with the service. I didn't have a clue. I just did not have a. I think it puts confidence in you because they obviously employed people that have got a passion for skating rather than just anybody off the street and put them behind the phone.
Yeah, see, I don't know too much about SkateHut, so I won't pass comments on them during this podcast. But like, I'll just say that's good to hear. So I'll give them credit for that. So you pick the skateboard, thanks to Rocco, and then you get that one, and then yeah, like, what do you do next? You go out to the skate park. I mean, you might not be able to remember every little detail, but was that the skateboard that you were using for a while? Are you happy?
Yeah, and it arrived. The next step was, I actually was following Braille skateboarding at the time, because soon after that evening, I was all over Google. So it was that evening, the plan was locate a skateboard, and then whilst you're waiting for the skateboard, just look for some skateboarding lessons online, and then Braille skateboarding came up.
So for people that may not be aware, I'll just jump in. So Braille is run by Aaron Cairo, like massive company now in America, where they're doing some amazing things, Braille, like really helping beginners out, aren't they? So yeah, it's cool to hear this. So sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, and he had a course on offer. So I bought the course. It looked really good. Online course, started from the ground up, started from pushing, which if you go back to the start of the podcast, I said that I pushed mongo.
You did, yeah.
Yeah,
and that fixed it, yeah. Thanks for that course.
Yeah, like they recommended that you put. I'm still not like too familiar with all the terminology, but your foot on the front.
Yeah, like
yeah. Like I skate.
Yeah. If you're mongo, regular. Yeah, you're regular. So if you're mongo, you push with your front foot. So you would have been having your back foot on the board and pushing with your other foot. But yeah, so you're now regular. So they corrected you. So you now have your left foot at the front, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. And even that was awesome. Because I could tell how much more helpful it was going to be for doing tricks and for just doing as a base foundation that I did not have. I was so grateful for finding that out, and that took a fair while to get that down.
It can be
because I'm
hard
not
to
kidding.
break the mongo habit when people have mongo habit, yeah. But like, I didn't even know that you push mongo. So like, no, obviously we'll get to when I met you, but that's good to hear. So,
Sure.
any other bits on the Braille course that you think are worthwhile mentioning?
Yeah, I just think their foundation is incredible because their foundation is incredible purely because it can be quite daunting jumping straight into tricks. So, and that's what I've loved about the whole skateboarding journey, that there's levels. There's like level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and if you follow that process, it's quite an enjoyable way of skating. So yeah, the level 1, it was great. It was pushing normal, and also it's not recommended because you ruin the tail, but when you've got some speed, getting the confidence to push the back tail down and skid along.
Okay, it was like a
Yeah,
break.
and just as a break, as a balance, as a tutorial for balance, confidence.
Yeah.
And I found that really helpful, especially for things like starting to learn how to do manuals and starting just to be able to put the tail down. So yeah, they're the two things that I really took from the Braille was skating with the front foot forward and then pushing the tail down.
That's really cool to hear. I wasn't aware that you even did that as well. So, would you say if because obviously we'll get on to having a skate instructor in a bit, but it's not always possible for someone to have an instructor like me. So, would you say like it is actually worth investing in that course? Did you find that beneficial for you?
Yeah, sure. Look, I bought every single volume, which in hindsight was a bit overkill. Um, so you do have the option just to buy like volume 1,
Yeah,
and I can't tell you how much it is because I can't remember, but it's extremely affordable.
cool.
And yeah, it's just good because you can like go back to you can go back to a section that you're maybe not clear on, and if you forget, you can go back. And having lessons one-to-one is fantastic, but there's strengths and weaknesses in both areas. If it's online, the person's physically not there to help you,
Yeah,
but you've got the information to go back to.
yeah, it
And
can be
when you have
handy.
one-to-one, and then when you have one-to-one lessons, the person like yourself, Jay, you're in front and you can see a lot more clearly, and just even if it's a slight reposition of the foot or a so yeah, there's pros and cons for
Yeah,
both
well,
online and personal.
that's cool. But yeah, we'll get into me and everything in a bit. But before I get there, like, I'm just wondering. So you've got your skateboard, you're going for the Braille course, and now where you're going to skate park. I'm assuming you're going to St Ives quite a bit. How did you feel going there as a middle-aged man? Like, without, I'm assuming you're starting to go without Rocco now because obviously it's moving beyond that. I know you still do go out with Rocco, but you're also going out on your own now. So, did you have any
Yeah.
like nerves? Were you anxious? Like, how did you feel like when you're like learning at the skate park? Did you ever feel like people were judging you and watching and anything like that?
Oh, okay. I'm thinking now, what happened when I'm thinking now, what I'm just, it's a year ago now, so I'm racking my brains.
Yeah,
Uh, I reckon that I went up with Rocco pretty much straight away. And as I got up there, how did I feel? I felt all right because the day that they got me dropping in on the ramp, everyone was very supportive.
yeah,
And normally that happens, like the whole park comes together when somebody wants to drop in. The whole park comes together with confidence because they want to see you succeed because they've all
yeah,
been there, they've all been standing at the top, so everyone wants to see you do well. So when I arrived, I felt okay, and you know what? I had my little boy next to me as well, so it didn't. I wasn't too phased by it, and I arrived with a bit of a crowd going, "Oh my god, you've got a board already!"
mm. So yeah, maybe
Um,
having Rocco with you is a good crutch at the beginning then, because just
yeah,
I hear a lot of adults tell me stories about how intimidating skate parks are and stuff, but it does seem like it didn't phase you personally too much.
uh, yeah. So it felt. in that, because there's different scenarios with skate parks in different locations.
Yeah.
But yeah, in St Ives, getting up to St Ives, like my little boy's with me. Sort of, you're killing two birds with one stone. You're helping him at the skate park, and then while he's piddling around on his bike, I'm doing a little bit as well.
Good stuff. Tell me more. Well, tell us all about the first time you went to St Neots and what happened with your loose trucks.
Yeah, well, so when I got to St Neots, that felt more daunting than St Ives because there's like is there like a 11-foot or 13-foot vert
there
ramp
is
there?
It was the UK largest outdoor vert ramp at one point. I think it's been overtaken now, but it's a beast. If anyone's not been to St Neots, it's a big vert ramp. Yeah.
So St Neots and St Ives, it's different gravy. Like, you're sort of wrapped up in cotton wool in St Ives. It's like beautiful, fresh ramps. Like, the concrete's all beautiful and smooth. And I was so used to going to St Ives, and experiencing that and having that there. When I got to St Neots, it was like metal ramps, like the chunks out of the metal ramps, like the surface isn't smooth. And I was like, oh my God, do people skate on this? So it was extremely intimidating. It was like metal that was like crumbling off. And all of a sudden there was a difference because there wasn't as many young skaters. There was older people with skateboards, and there was a lot of skateboards, which was quite cool. It was quite cool because that gave me the confidence that the ramps are okay to skate on, because I could see these skaters using the ramps. So yes, St Neots, right? Okay, so I'd worn out St Ives. I was getting bored of dropping in on the little 2-foot quarter. So a friend of mine said, "Come over to St Neots. There's a mini, and is it about a 3-foot mini?"
Yeah. I spent a lot of time on that mini. Good little mini.
It's amazing. It's an amazing mini. But what he failed to tell me was, it's a 3-foot mini, but it's another foot off the floor. So when you're standing on the top, you're not looking down at 3 foot, you're looking down at 4 foot.
Of course. So for context of people, so like new skate parks now are all concrete, and the concrete will be the ramps will go right into the floor and it'll be all smooth. Whereas some of the older park designs, like St Neots, if you've got metal parts, the ramps can maybe off the ground a little bit. So they get that at St Neots. So that mini ramp's about 1.5 feet off the floor. So you're probably about 4.5 feet up in the air at that point. So I mean, what happened then? You had the loose trucks when you tried to drop in, or you were scared too? Or?
Yeah, so I just lost all my confidence. I went up to the coping and I lost all my confidence. But when I did get there, I did follow a few like little things that I picked up online. Start on the flat and pump, and I was getting up to the coping. But ultimately, I had to get up there and just drop in. A few people had picked up that had loose trucks. They were like, "Oh man, these are pretty loose. Like, you should tighten them." And I was like, "Nah, I'm sure it's fine. The skateboard, I don't want to mess around with the skateboard. It came like that. I'm just going to leave it like that." And like, skateboarders are pretty laid back, man. They're like, "Oh, okay." Personal preference, like
it is all like personal preference. Yeah,
it is personal preference. And everyone was really helpful. Everyone was genuinely on the day. Everyone was all trying to help. They could see me on the coping, and people were like, "Look, how about if you crouch down a little bit lower and try and like reach out for the tail?" Because people just want to see you drop in, man. That's what they love it. People love it, and they just want to help you do it because they've been there. They've been at the top of the coping. So I went for it. I think it took me about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I just slammed my foot down. And as I got to the flat, the next thing I know, I'm laying on the flat, Yeah, I'm laying on the flat, but I was fully padded. I had what did I have on? I had snowboarding padded shorts, lycra shorts, underneath
Yeah,
my jeans. I had helmet, wrist. I had wrist guards, the lot. The only
yeah.
thing that I didn't have is like the little ankle protectors. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I had the lot. So to be fair, falling wasn't as bad as what I thought. It was more, I got more whiplash than anything.
Yeah, and you can't really get pads to save whiplash. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's funny. It's funny that, isn't it? You get completely padded up, um, and then you end up walking out with whiplash. But
For sure.
so
But did oh, sorry, you go for any more on
no,
that?
like so. Yeah, I remember. So there's a local guy called Baz, and funnily enough, I saw him
Yes,
on Sunday. That I see. I
I
didn't
know
even know you
Baz.
knew Baz. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Baz is like, let me have a go. And Baz was really great. He was trying to help me up there that evening. So he goes, look, let me have a little go. Puts the board on the coping, drops in. He drops in, but as he hits the deck, it just wobbles and it's gone, whoa, because the board's literally gone like that. And he's like,
Yeah.
dude, they are so loose. And yeah, I think I didn't drop in that night, but I tightened the trucks when I got home. I went up the second time, and then the second time when I went up there, I dropped in, and it was fine.
Yeah. That's good. It's good you got through it. But we'll be soon getting to when I met you. But you started to go down a path of getting different types of skateboards and you changing deck widths and all that kind of stuff, didn't you? I think so. The time I met you,
Yeah,
you had
yeah,
like two or three setups. You weren't sure which one you were using. So I was just wondering a little bit more about that. Like, what reasons did you have to start getting different boards and stuff?
yeah. Sure. Okay. Um, so what happened was I was using St Neots quite a bit at this point, and I was dropping in on that mini, and it was all feeling really good. Um, but what I found was I couldn't ever decide where I wanted to put my feet.
Yeah.
I've got a size 11 foot, right? I say it's a 10 and a half, 11 foot, right? And if you've got an 8-inch deck, your feet are going to hang over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I could not in my head work out where my feet should be. I was like, oh, how much toe should I have hanging over the edge? Or should I have more heel hanging over the edge? And then I've just thought, oh, the bigger the ramps to get in, the more wobbly I'm feeling going down them.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, well, if I get a bigger board, and I saw that you could get big, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that you could get a bigger board.
Yeah. They're getting fashionable in a minute. Yeah. Like people want the big
Yeah, I
nine
didn't
inches
even
and stuff.
know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could get bigger ones. So when I found out, I was like, oh, I reckon if I get a bigger board, I'll have more room to put my feet on the skateboard, which would mean that when I drop bigger ramps, I'll be more stable going down. And
Mm-hmm.
started furrowing down that little hole. And
That's where I'm going with this. Because yeah, I'm wondering if did you get to the point where you just don't know, like, because you're trying to tweak everything to try and get to what you need, and it must be difficult trying to find like what's right for when you're skating.
yeah, what was happening is it was solving some problems, but it was making bigger problems. So the next step up from that little 8-inch board was the Andy Anderson. I managed to get hold of an Andy. So I didn't even know who Andy Anderson was, and everyone was seeing me with this deck. They're like, "Oh my god! Like, where the hell did you get this deck?" I said, "Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. I got it on eBay. It was like a 9-inch deck, and I wanted a 9-inch deck, and it was a long wheelbase." Because people were saying, "Oh, you're tall, so you might get on better with a long wheelbase." And yes, 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 it was all feeling good dropping in. My feet felt better on the board. It all felt better. But Oh yeah, then I started getting greedy with it. It was like, wow, it's just, everything's feeling great with 9 inches. Let's go to 10 inches. So like I've got this 10-inch board, and it's and that's when I met you, Jason. I had the 10-inch blast skateboard, and it was all feeling great. And then I was dropping bigger ramps, but then what happened? I couldn't ollie the thing. I couldn't turn it, and so I just couldn't. The board was so heavy. Everything was like heavy. Like I couldn't turn. And then I started understanding that, hold on a minute. Yeah, having a bigger board is cool for like certain things. But if I wanted to like hop up a curb or do a kick turn with like these bigger, longer boards, it was harder.
Yeah.
To do.
Sure. I know. So you did quite a lot of tweaking and stuff, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I think it is important to find what is good for you as a person, and also in regards to the feet thing. Like no one talks about that. If you've got big feet, then obviously you're going to need a wider board. That's if you've got small feet, you need a thinner board. I guess. Well, I'm just wondering now. Fast forwarding, like the skateboard that you're riding now, where are you at with it? Are you happy with what you've got now? Do you swap between different boards? Like, where are you at with it?
Wow. I mean, I pretty much flipped. I switched the switch overnight. And it was when I got COVID.
Oh.
I remember it was the 31st of October, and I had a really good session over at Corby. And then the 1st of November, that's when I got COVID. And I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll get over it in a couple of days. A couple of days goes past. I'm still feeling rough. I'm getting worse. It's going into like day 7. I'm feeling real bad. There's still no sign of going out on a skateboard. And all I'm doing is watching like skateboarding videos and like your videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm filling all my spare time with skateboarding on the TV, and then I start thinking, hold on a minute, like everyone that I'm seeing is just skating standard decks on TV, like, and a lot of your students, everyone's skating standard decks, and like everyone's getting on pretty well with this, right? So it keeps going on. Day 14, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. And I've not been, at this point, it's been 2 weeks. And
isolated.
I was like, oh my God, I lost all my confidence.
Oh no.
It was really hard because I made the pact to myself, like I wouldn't ever leave it more than a couple of days that I'm not at a skate ramp, because I didn't want to like lose what I'd learned. It was really getting me down that I couldn't ollie this board that I had. So then I started doing the maths in my head. I was sort of thinking, hold on a minute. If you get an 8-inch board, the trucks are going to be smaller. The whole thing's going to be lighter. Yeah. Don't buy like those big chunky van shoes. Like get little light skateboarding shoes. Like lose all the weight. And as soon as I did that, like my ollies improved overnight, my kick turns improved overnight, and I just had to get over using a smaller board on the ramps, dropping in. But it felt fine because it was a balance thing for me. I'd rather have the deck that I'm using now and be more of an all-round skateboarder than like a one-trick pony and just be able to do one thing well. So I've gone back to using an 8-inch board.
That's good though. So you got there. You figured out what works for you. So I'm happy for that. But yeah, we touched on it like when you met me. So like I'm just wondering like what made you want to have an actual skateboard lesson? Or like how did you even find out about me first? I'm not even sure if I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a barber for a living, and we do quite a lot of talking when we're in a good mood, and the subjects come up. People ask you what you're up to. So
it was word of mouth then. I think you did tell me now, yeah. Someone
Yeah,
said, yeah.
yeah. I'm
Which word of mouth is still huge for business. Like anyone that's listening has a business, like word of mouth is still probably my biggest way of getting new customers. So that's good to hear. So you found out about me, and then I think you booked me in, didn't you? I remember. And that was at How Can Be Willed, the first one. And then when you rocked up. And I guess from my perspective, you were already doing quite well on a skateboard. Like you could ollie. I'm trying to remember exactly what we did, but like you was already cruising around. I think you went around the bowl. I'm sure I did give you
That was
value
right.
that day, but I'm just wondering, like, why were you? Why did you want a lesson? Like, why? Yeah, why did you want one?
Yeah, sure. So it was more that I wanted a skate lesson in St Ives because I started to wear out what I knew, and I didn't know how to make the next step. So
Mm,
my goal from the outset was I've got a local skateboard, I've got a local ramp next to my house. If I could learn to confidently skate round that, then I'd be happy. But I could only drop in on the little mini quarter, and I could drop in on the five when I met you, but I couldn't like work out how to do a line, go from one bit of the park to the next. It was all very disjointed. It was like I'd get my skateboard and run to the top of a ramp and drop in, and then I'd stop, and then I'd run to another bit rather than fluently like connect the
right,
bank
because
up with a.
learning to flow is not something that can easily be translated in a course or a video online, can it? Because unless they've actually been to that skate park, so like that makes sense to me. I can get that. Like I could show you the direction of what we're doing stuff in the park, and we did eventually do one in St Ives, which was cool. So like, I'm just wondering if was it a good decision for you? Like, do you think it was worthwhile paying to have a skateboard lesson with me? You can be honest, like I'm just generally like, is it what like if someone's listening to this and they're thinking about having a private lesson, like, is that something that is worth doing in your opinion?
Yeah, so how it went about was originally I wanted to learn how to skate St Ives, but that wasn't available on your website. So
Nice.
you only had like set availability at certain parks. Um, so for me, the first meet was just really to meet you and see um, how it works. Because like I've never heard that you could ever have like a skateboard teacher existed. Like
Yeah.
I don't think like it never existed in my mind before. So the first one was just really for me to meet you, and we got on really well that day. I was really happy with. I never attempted ever to carve around the bowl, and you got me carving around the
Oh,
bowl.
so I did. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
See, carving around the
um,
bowl is not even that hard. It's all about the angle, so I can help with that. Yeah. So you went around the bowl. Like, what else did we do on that first lesson? Do you remember? I can't.
the bowl was a big aspect, but like I was wanting you to have a look at my skating because I'd never had anybody sort of critique me on it, and I felt like I would be more confident if you would be saying stuff like, "Look, I think you if you move your foot in this position, you'd be a bit better, or crouch down a little bit lower, or pump up a bit higher, or try and have the board a little bit more horizontal when you're pumping round the bowl." And these are all like things that were building my confidence. Um,
Confidence
so
building is a huge thing. I mean, I get it with children, but even more so with adults. I do sometimes feel like maybe not as much with you. With some adults, I'm like a personal trainer, but with you, it was more about reassuring that you were doing things all right. And then I remember having to push you a bit to do some bigger drop-ins, and when we moved on, and you did do the one at St Ives. Was you doing that one already? I'm not sure, but you did eventually start doing some bigger ramps as well, didn't you? For your drop-ins.
yeah, slightly bigger. And to be fair, I've sort of calmed that down a little bit now because when you end up dropping in on them, you can't like you forget you've actually got to do something on the other side.
Yeah.
So like all of a sudden that drop in that you've always wanted to do that seemed so important at the time becomes less important because you realize that um, you've got to turn around.
Yeah.
So
Do you remember when you had the first lesson with me? I'm just trying to think of a timeline for people that might be curious. Was it in the summer?
yeah, so
I think it might have been the summer holidays, mightn't it? 'Cause I think I was teaching. I know I was teaching a group class before you came. I know it's kind of warm. So it was a good few months since you've been doing it yourself, wasn't it? At least.
yeah, it was. I started in February, the end of February, and then I reckon I called you in about May.
Okay, maybe a bit earlier. Okay, just a
I think
few
it was
months
about
though.
May time.
Yeah. And then
May,
you've done a
June.
few with me. We've done some. We did a trip to a drilling alley, and we've done some cool stuff. Um, but yeah, to me at this point, you're already fairly established as a skateboarder. Like when you're coming to me, I'm feeling like El is a skateboarder. He knows what he's doing. He just likes to have someone there with him, which is cool. Um, and you started to expand a little bit and doing some other things. So I've got them written down here. I really want to delve into this and make sure we spend a good bit of time on it. I want to know about your Cornwall trip. Well, obviously, I already know a little bit about it. You told me before. Um, how did this come about? Why did you want to go to Cornwall? And just share your experiences of going over to there.
Yeah, sure. So I think so. This is like skateboarding now at this point. Over the last year is it's new, right? It's a new thing. And in life, when you look at things, when you have something new come into your life, you want to spend time with it. And it's no different to having a new girlfriend, is it? Like
Yeah,
when
I
you get
really,
when you get a
you're
new
right.
missus, when you when you get a new missus, right? Well, hopefully, when you get a new missus, all you want to do is kind of like spend lots of time with her. You want to get to know each other. You want to go away on holiday. You want to just
So your skateboard was your new missus.
well.
Love it.
I had a superb, curvy lady out of maple wood with a set of trucks and wheels to take for a good week away to get to know her really well,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's how like I can. That's the easiest way for me to explain it.
cool.
That's the easiest
Yeah,
way for me to explain it. So it just gave me the chance to isolate myself and really get to know the sport.
that's so
And
cool.
why not in the mecca of skateboarding? Well, I think it's the mecca of skateboarding
Yeah, so
for the UK.
yeah, let's touch on that because I can't even remember what it's called. Is that the one? Is that Concrete Waves? Is that what that one's called? Have
Con-
I got that wrong?
yeah, yeah,
It is
concrete
Concrete
waves.
Waves
Yeah,
because I've got obviously my friends have got. I haven't been there yet, but I can't remember how much that one was. It's probably about 500,000, I think. It's quite a big skate park, isn't it? I've not been, but
six
that
hundred thousand.
is it six up. Yeah, so that's quite a lot more than the parks around me are. So it was a brand new one probably when you went. Well, probably a few months. I don't know. It's newish anyway. Really good big
Yeah.
one there. So you get there, and what do you think when you get there?
I mean, I was blown away because when I got there, well, the park was extremely well done. There was probably about, to simplify it, there was three areas. There was a beginners area on the outside. Then you had a bowl, about a 9 foot bowl, with like a superb crusty like bowl concrete coping, with the like little pool tiles. I think the deepest end was about 9 foot, and the shallow end was probably about 3 foot.
Yeah,
And then the other part you had like about a 10 foot vert, and that was like that involved having like a spine, a bit of a bowly. That was a bit of a mix.
yeah, and
Rails and yeah,
because you went there on it's a long drive for us, isn't it? Like quite a long drive. So you got there, and the
five
first
hours,
day,
5 hours.
5 hours. So and you went there the first
Yeah,
day, though, didn't you? So this experience is on after that drive there on the same day.
yeah. Like so, I drove there. It was terrible over there in Cambridge. It was like non-stop rain, and then I
Mhm.
drove past the black clouds, and as soon as I got into Cornwall, it was sunny. So I put my
Nice.
bags down at the Airbnb, and I drove straight over to Concrete Waves. It was round the corner. And as I say, when I got there, I was just like, I was gobsmacked. I've never seen anything like it before, anything like it. So you had age ranges of probably 6 years old to 60 years old skating.
So cool, yeah.
And these 6-year-olds are dropping in on 10-foot vert.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And the older guys in their 60s were carving they were all over the bowl. So I started getting involved in the beginner area, and it's like people were very friendly, coming up, helping me like drop in on certain areas, and again just showing me around the park really. So
so you had your little taste of it all, and then obviously you leave at some point. I think you go back to your Airbnb. But what did you forget to bring with you?
So it started to get dark, and I was just absolutely exhausted. So I propped my skateboard up next to my car, get my lunchbox out, eat my food up, and then I drive back to my Airbnb with a quick stop off at Morrison's, do my little weekly shop there for the week. And I'm in the car thinking, I'm out the front of the Airbnb thinking, right, do I take the skateboard into the person's house that I'm staying in? Am I allowed to do that? Or is that a bit rude? Or do I just keep it in the car? Oh, but what about if my car gets burgled overnight? Oh, sod it. I'll take the board in the house. Pop the boot open. Skateboard's not there. Oh, maybe I've left it on the back seat. Look on the back seat. It's not there. Maybe I've left it on the front seat. Check the boot again. No, it's not there. The skateboard's not there. So by this time, 9 p.m, it's dark, because it's September. Right now it's September. We're in September. I'm thinking the skateboard's gone. It's gone. But I don't even bother going back. I said, no, just go back, because at least you can say to yourself, you've tried. And I'll tell you how passionate. So this will give you an idea on how passionate these Cornish guys are, right? These shredders, these Cornish shredders. So I'm pulling up to the skate park. It's about 9:30 at night at the minute. They've got bloody floodlights. They've put up their own floodlights their own ones. So they can skate in the bowl. And
it's good, isn't it? Committed.
Yeah. So it's not in the car park. My skateboard's not in the car park. So I go over to the park and I just introduce myself and I say, like, look, I've come here on holiday. I left my skateboard here probably about half an hour ago, 40 minutes ago. Has anybody handed it in? Unfortunately, no one saw it, but everyone was super helpful. They jumped on it straight away and they said, look, we've got a Cornish shredders page on Facebook and we'll put it on that, and join the Newquay Facebook town page. We'll put it on that. And I think it ended up getting about 70 shares in the end.
Yeah, people really did try and
70
find it for you.
70 shares. And no word of a lie, I felt like a celebrity by the end of it. Everyone in Cornwall was coming up to me going, you're the dude, because I had a very, it was a skateboard that you saw. It was the big yellow. It was a big yellow. It looked like a big yellow submarine. How could you miss it? So everyone's like, oh, you were the dude with the big yellow skateboard. Have you found your board yet?
But just to, I mean, it was a good quality skateboard though. You had good independent tracks. It wasn't a cheap board, just so people know. He's calling it a big yellow submarine, but it was a proper good skateboard. So so people were coming up to you about it and everything, weren't they?
Yeah. They were being super helpful. They said, look, a Cornish person would never, ever take it. It's a written rule. You just do not do that here. It's not happen. The only thing that they said was it's possibly somebody else on holiday from a different place could have possibly taken it, a kid. Look, whatever happened, it doesn't matter whatever happened. Whatever happened, because I ended up meeting so many beautiful people on that holiday through losing my skateboard. It was a blessing in disguise.
Did you get?
Um,
Was there? There must have been a skate shop nearby. You bought another one while you're there. I'm trying to remember what you did. Did you buy another one while there?
yeah, so I'd booked a couple of lessons while I was there at this place called TR7.
TR7, yeah.
TR7
Shout out to
Skate.
them, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and they've got a skate shop like attached to their indoor skate ramps. So I was lucky enough to, pick out a similar sort of size deck. I think it was just over 9 inches. So it was familiar, and that's what I wanted. That was yellow as well. So it's just coincidence.
And how far is TR7 from Concrete Waves? Is it kind of close?
Yeah, like 5 minutes in the car.
So it is pretty close. I don't obviously know the area too well, but if anyone on this podcast is from over those areas and they did want to learn to skateboard, like that would be the place to go then, probably TR7, because they had instructors there. Like you went during, I think it was during the week, wasn't it? You had like a weekday lesson, didn't you, at the park?
Yeah, I had 2.
Indoor park.
Yeah,
I had
2. Yeah, I had 2 1-hour lessons in the indoor park there.
Yeah, so that's TR7 if anyone's interested in hearing about that. Anything else to mention on your trip there to Newquay? Any other cool stories or anything, or you covered it, do you think?
I met the guy that designed the board that I bought from TR7 Skate, which is quite cool. Like he was in the skate park and I flipped the board up and he caught a glimpse of it and he's like, "Oh, dude, I designed that." It was like a crab wearing like a hat with a Newquay flag on it. And I got to meet him, skated with him for a bit. He was called, what was his name? Oh man, he signed the boards.
But he signed it. Nice.
He signed it. Yeah. I can't. Ivor. He was called Ivor. So shout out to Ivor if you ever get to watch this. Then thanks for helping me out down the skate park. He helped me with like my how tight my trucks were. He gave me a good bit of advice about maybe just having the front one a little bit looser, which I still do now. I have the front one just a touch looser. I find that works for me quite well.
Day One Song, one of my favourite pro skaters, like for real, his truck is so loose. If you grab his skateboard and shake it, the truck will wobble. And he's one of the most talented dudes. It's insane. So, yeah. So did you do that then? You loosened one a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he was so cool. He was such a cool guy because he was like, you will love it. He goes, the skateboard will breathe. Like it will breathe. It's strangled. He's like, it's strangled at the minute. It's strangled how you have it at the moment. It's strangled. Trust me, it'll breathe. And it's in their blood down there. It's in their blood.
Nice. When you were leaving though, you had a little detour on the way home, didn't you? Did you pop over to Bristol? Is that right? That was this trip, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was just purely through it was a big trip. I was skating every single day. I knew I was going to be tired, and I thought, you know what? Don't kill yourself all in one go. Just have do a half a journey, halfway point, Bristol, and even see if I can check out some other skate parks and skate ramps. And I managed to find a few. Yeah, the first one being I can't remember what it's called. Campus Skate, Bristol.
Campus is the old swimming pool one, I think, that they've redone in the last decade.
And it was it was a swimming pool, right? Because when you pull up car park, you go through to reception, and then you go through into the skate park. But before you go into the skate park, you've got to walk through the showers. And I thought I was literally I took a wrong turn because I was in the bloody showers. But they've left it. They've left it there. Yeah, they've left it there. So it's an old swimming pool.
Yeah, I've not been. I've seen it online. I think it's got a good backstory, like how they got it made. I won't go into all the details on here, but you got to check that out a little bit, didn't you? Is there anything interesting happening there, or just like a normal skate?
No, it was quite cool, right? Because the main pool area, you could see they tipped I'm guessing they tipped concrete into the corners and made it into like a very mellow bowl. It was probably like look, 3 foot maybe. And then they had a whacking great big like vert ramp. I think it was like a 9 foot vert quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen pictures of like proper photos of that.
Yeah. So that was cool. And I saw one of the instructors, like, I think he might have RockFakied it and dropped in on it. It looked very cool. And then in the room, and then there's like a little, it looked like a converted office, and it was right in the back. And that was extremely cool because that was just all plywood. That was like a 3 foot mini plywood ramp. And then you hopped over. There was even another little tiny box room, and it had like a metal girder. It was so low that you had to, I'm 6 foot, and to drop in, I had to crouch down to like drop in, and had to crouch down if I was going to RockFakie. I had to like crouch down, otherwise you smack your head on like the girder, which is quite cool. I think it had a lot of character, and it had a really cool shop. It had a really cool shop, lots of stock, which I think you want when you go to there's nothing worse going to a skate shop and there not being like hardly any stock. So and they sold loads of clothes. Yeah, so visit that place. It's cool. Campers, if anyone's
and then the last little bit on your little trip away, like, what's this about the surf skate guy? Was that at that place, or where did you meet that person? Or was that just somewhere else?
I wanted to get another out. I wanted to visit somewhere as much as I could sort of get in when I was at Bristol, and I found a little. I'll say it was little. It was a real crusty like skate park. It was like a bowl. They had a little street section with like a few ledges and stuff, but the main thing there was a really crusty bowl which had been graffitied to the high heavens. And so I got up really early in the morning thinking that nobody would be there. Somebody else had that idea as well, and we pretty much both arrived at the same time, and we were both like, we thought we were going to be I thought I was going to be the only one. Anyway, nice to meet you, and we ended up skating a little bit together, and he was there on his surf skate, which was quite cool because the first time I'd saw a surf skate was from this dude called John Bishop on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel.
I think I might know, but yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so John Bishop's YouTube channel is all about older age guys learning to skate. He's like, I think he's like 47, 48. And he has his whole journey of skating. But that's where I first clocked about surf skate, because he does that as well.
I know. So I don't really know much about surf skate. I've seen one guy myself who's been on them, but just explain to people that might not know, like, what is surf skate? Like, what's the difference?
Okay, so the truck, I don't know about the truck on the back, but the truck on the front, I think it's mounted. It looked like it was mounted like the opposite way round, and it was extremely loose. And what that enabled you to do was get really tight, to carve extremely tightly. And that's what he was doing there, because he was originally a surfer, and he was on his surf skate to practice he was practicing front side turns that day.
So crazy. He wanted to practice surfing at a skate park. He said, like, I'm not into skate. I don't skateboard. Like, and he was dropping in, and I mean, this is a big ramp. Like, the shallow part was about, again, 3 foot, but the deep end, you're talking like about 7 foot worth of bowl, and he was front siding that up to the coping. Yeah. So that's pretty gnarly. That's pretty gnarly stuff, because that was a loose truck, and it was tight. It was a tight front side curve he was doing. Did you ever go on it? Have you been on one before?
No. God, I was struggling enough with my own boards. No, I was.
I have. When I had a little go, and like, not much, but I can see it was different. It was unique because obviously that front truck does move a lot. I want to have a proper go sometime because it's fun. It's a bit different.
So yeah, that was. I've just learned to be grateful about what I'm doing. I'm in my zone rather than yeah. I didn't want to like jump on something third party,
Yeah, no, I
something
get that.
alien.
I think for me, because I've been doing it so many years now, it's just like, oh, this could be different and fun. I get it, different. But yeah, I'm starting to wrap it up here now. It's we're good on. We're pretty much getting to our hour time, I think, which is
No
what the
way,
overall
you're
goal was.
joking.
Been about an hour. I've got a little thing in the top right corner. It says hour 7, but we didn't record straight away. It's all good though. I don't mind going over a little bit. I guess what I was going to ask you here, final little bits of questions would be like, do you have any fear of injuries? Like, does that bother you at all? Are you worried that you might get hurt at some point?
Wow. So let's rewind back to like pretty much this time last year, because I think it was about sort of March time. And I went up to St Ives and I just thought, right, I'm just going to focus on pumping up and down the mini there, right? The mini, so like a 5-foot mini. And I had a few hairy moments and I just couldn't throw myself in. And something clicked in my brain and went, do you know what? You have to get pads, mate. You have to pad up. And I called SkateHut the next day and I said, look,
good old SkateHut again.
Yeah, I said,
what
can you do? I need some pads. And they sent them and they were fantastic. They were fantastic. I got helmet, pads for my boy, pads for myself. And when they arrived, I threw myself in. So I was frightened of doing a kick turn, a backside kick turn. I didn't like turning around at all. I was wary about getting higher on the ramp. But when I got the pads, it all felt a lot more comfortable.
Right.
And everything felt a lot more comfortable. I felt like it was okay to fall over. It was okay to fall over because I wouldn't graze my elbow, because you've got to think the first thing that you're going to graze when you fall over is the things that poke out, which are your elbows, your knees. So definitely recommend pads to begin with.
So wearing all that stuff. So wearing all that stuff does make you feel more like Iron Man or something. Like you do feel more like you're not as worried, you're not as scared, I guess, to try things when you're padded up.
Oh yeah, I felt like I was in armor. I was just like, I was, to the point, like, yeah, I was.
That's good though.
It was funny to me. It was funny to me at the time. Yeah, it was.
So you're not really fearful then, like, because this is something that people. I get it a lot. I hear it a lot from adults. Like they're really concerned that they're going to get hurt and they can't do it.
Okay. Well, I was, and that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I was.
Yeah.
I went to the park. I wanted to push myself, but that's when the fear kicked in, and that's when that thought came into my mind. Said, if you push yourself and you get it wrong, it's going to hurt. So that's when I got the pads. And when I got the pads, everything calmed down. So yeah, that's the story about the pads, and that's the story about getting hurt. And also, like, I remember watching something with like an interview with Tony Hawk, and they asked him a similar question. They were like, "Are you ever frightened to get hurt and stuff like this?" And he's like, "I try not to think about it. Why would I even want to think about it's not even in my vocabulary. It's like my thought is, I'm going to do the trick. I'm going to do a kick turn. I'm going to pump up and down the ramp. This is what I'm going to do. If I start thinking that I'm going to get hurt, then you might as well not even attempt it."
Ah, for sure. So that's good though. So like you haven't had any serious injuries, so you've been okay. And I guess if we were just starting to wrap it up, I just want to get any advice that you'd give to someone that's thinking of doing it and just hasn't gone for it yet. Like, what would you say to someone that's listened to this whole podcast and they really want to do it? What would help motivate them, do you think, to finally give it a go?
All right. So what's the best bit of advice I could sort of say? Don't worry about how long don't worry. Do not worry about how long it's going to take you. Don't worry that you're going to be a beginner, because every skateboarder has been there and done it and experienced what you're going to experience. And the best thing that you can do is just enjoy the journey and enjoy the ride, and listen. You have to listen to, okay, don't listen to people telling you to do stupid stuff up the skate ramp, but listen to people that, like yourself, Jay, that give you good advice. Listen to them, because they've done that trick. They've been there. They've done that. They've experienced similar themselves. So yeah, you can save yourself a lot of hurt by listening to.
I get worried when people try and drop in too quick. Like if you rush to drop in, it can go bad. So like, just be careful with the drop ins, because let someone help you on that, because I know horror stories. I've witnessed, but it's fine as long as you take the precautions and get the advice and help from people. Oh, go on, yeah.
Well, no, like, I mean, we could talk all night, Jay. It's, we could. It's mental, but the thing is that you're not against the clock. You're not against the clock, because as soon as you accomplish something on a skateboard, you forget about what you've done, and you get a new task. You get something new come up, and you need to be grateful for the little things, and then the rest will be easier. And it's a very much, when you start to accomplish things, your confidence starts to grow.
Yeah.
And then things become easier. But if you don't allow yourself to appreciate the little things that you can do, you will never get to the next stage.
That's cool. Any other final last little bits? I don't know, any shout outs, anything you think could be worth saying? I mean, don't worry if not. I mean, this is my first episode. I don't know how to really end it. I just thought I'd say, anything you got to say? Any last little bits?
Wow, yeah. I mean, look, God, shout outs. Yeah, definitely. Like a really, there's been a few very important people that have impacted, like that have added to this like journey that I've been on with skateboarding since over the last year. And firstly, that's yourself, Jay, because you're great to be around, because you give so much confidence. And you simplify things in such an easy manner to understand, and it's no problem. Like if you haven't got something down, it's not a problem. There's always something else you can do on a board. Just because you can't do trick X, it doesn't mean that you can't do anything else. There's always, I think that's what I love about skateboarding. You can do anything. You do anything on it.
Did you see my RockFakie at Pioneer from the other day?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably my gnarliest RockFakie ever. Like, RockFakie is something that you learn so early on, but like for me, I'm excited because I did it on quite a steep vert wall, so that was new and exciting for me. And it's a simple, basic trick, so you can take anything, can't you, and just put it somewhere else and still get enjoyment out of it.
And it's that thing where we just said about being grateful, about the little things, about being grateful that was just the RockFakie, but you're so grateful that it's great, being grateful that you can just do an ollie, and it doesn't matter how high you can do it. Just be grateful that you can do one. So yes, shout out to you, Jay. I think you've really helped. You've really helped me feel better about skating. Like, not only St Ives, my local park, but other parks as well. I want to shout out the boys at TR7 as well. They made me feel very comfortable my whole trip, because they don't only skate at their skate park, indoor skate park. They are at Concrete Waves as well. So yeah, shout out to those guys for really making me feel welcome while I was over at Cornwall. Also SkateHut, shout out to them, because they were fantastic on the phone, and I still buy stuff from them to this day. They've got a shop over at Corby.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
I'd be shouting out people all night, even
that is
Corby
it's fine.
themselves. You know, Corby's.
You go there quite a bit, don't you?
Everyone's
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone's had something to put into my year of skateboarding. So yeah, I could keep going on and on and on.
Well, I'm sure I could always get you back on a future episode to discuss more things and stuff, and we'll have a quick little chat after I finish the recording. But I guess I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna start to wrap this one up. So
Yeah, man.
hopefully, if people have stuck with us and that you've enjoyed it, any constructive criticism, if you want to get in contact with me, I'd love to hear it. Hopefully, people have enjoyed it. I'm gonna plan. I want to get this. I want to make this real. So I'm going to be doing, quite a lot of these for the foreseeable future. Like it's not just a quick thing. So if you've enjoyed it, please let me know. Any constructive criticism. I look forward to doing some more. Let's say bye to Mr. Monkey. All right, we're out of here, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.